I am 52 years old, have 3 grown children, a retired husband, and until 5 years ago, I lived in a house that looked more like a storage space for memories than a true home. Forget those superficial organization tips you find in magazines. What I'm about to share transformed not only my closets but also my marriage, my mental health, and even my bank account. On the morning of my 47th birthday, I spent 40 minutes searching for my car keys. The result? I arrived late to my own surprise party that my daughter had organized. As I drove, tears of frustration streamed down my face. In that moment, I realized that disorganization was not only stealing my belongings, it was robbing me of precious moments in my life. A week later, during a routine medical appointment, I met Dr. Helen, a 70-year-old lady with the energy of a teenager. When I mentioned my chronic disorganization problem, she smiled and said, "You need to know about the Yokoi Kenji method. It transformed my life at 60. The Yokoi Kenji method is not just another organization system. Developed by a retired professor of environmental psychology, it combines principles of behavioral psychology, interior design, and minimalist philosophy. The difference? It was created specifically for ordinary people like us, not for those who are naturally organized. The 5 steps that revolutionized my home. Step 1. Conscious evaluation. Seeing beyond the surface. Most people start organizing by throwing things away, but the Yokoi method begins differently. For 3 days, I was instructed to simply observe my home, without cleaning, without tidying up, just consciously watching. In a notebook, I documented how we moved through the spaces, where clutter bottlenecks formed, which areas we rarely used, and which were overloaded. I discovered something surprising. 80% of our family life took place in just 20% of the house. Our formal dining room, preserved for special occasions, was actually a glorified storage room. Meanwhile, all of us were crammed into the small kitchen for meals, conversations, and even to pay bills. Not so obvious tip: use colored stickers to mark items you handle daily, green stickers, weekly, yellow, and rarely red. After 2 weeks, you'll have a visual map of which items really matter in your routine. When Martin, my husband, saw that his collector's Swiss Army knife had a red sticker, he placed it in the donation box himself. Does it make sense to keep something I never use, while I can't find my gardening tools that I use every weekend? He said, surprising both of us. Step 2. Selective detachment. The emotional math of things. The second step goes beyond the mantra, discard what doesn't spark joy. Yokoi introduces the concept of emotional maintenance cost. Each item we own not only takes up physical space but also mental space. Instead of asking, "Does this spark joy?" I began asking, "What is the cost of keeping this item? If I didn't have this today, how much effort would it take to get it again? Does this object simplify or complicate my daily routine?" A revelatory exercise. For sentimental items that are hard to let go of, Yokoi recommends a storage fee. Assign a monthly monetary value for keeping each item. An old box of letters from an ex-boyfriend, $5 per month. The graduation dress that no longer fits, $10 per month. Multiply by 12 months, then by 5 years. Is it worth it? I was shocked to calculate that I was paying emotionally the equivalent of $3,000 a year to store items I never used. My mother's porcelain collections used to cause me anxiety every time I cleaned the house. Fear of breaking them, the work of dusting them off, guilt for not using them. I photographed the favorite pieces, kept 4 that I truly cherished, and donated the rest to a community center, where they are used in weekly events. Ironically, I now feel a deeper connection to my mother's memory. She loved hosting people, not storing plates in cabinets. Step 3. Intelligent categorization. The science of grouping. This is where many organization methods stop, but Yokoi goes beyond simple categorization by type of item. He introduces cognitive context categorization. Instead of grouping all the books together, I began organizing them by context of use. Reference books in the home office, cookbooks in the kitchen, light reading near the armchair, bedside books in the bedroom. Each book had its place based on when and how I used it. A surprising technique, the 30-second rule, revolutionized my home. Yokoi argues that any item used regularly should be accessible within 30 seconds. I timed how long it took to complete everyday tasks and reorganized everything to meet this rule. I realized that I stored our bath towels in the hallway closet, 45 seconds away from the bathroom. With 3 people showering every morning, we were collectively wasting more than 16 hours a year just searching for towels. I installed discrete hooks in the bathroom, and this small change not only saved time but also eliminated the pile of damp towels that used to accumulate in the laundry basket. I applied this principle in the kitchen, home office, and laundry area. My recipe book is now kept near the stove, not on the living room shelf. My husband's socks are stored in the same drawer as his pants, not separated by type. It may seem counterintuitive until you realize how many micro-moments we save each day. Step 4. Flow systems. Creating rivers, not reservoirs. This is the most revolutionary concept of the method. Yokoi argues that most homes function as reservoirs, places where things accumulate, when they should function as rivers, where items flow naturally. I identified 5 entry points in my home where items regularly accumulated: the entryway table, the kitchen counter, the home office desk, the bedroom dresser, and the clean laundry basket. For each point, I created a flow system with 3 components: a temporary landing zone, where the item enters; a decision process, what happens to it; an exit route, where it goes afterward. A practical example: our mail used to pile up in ever-growing stacks on the entryway table. I set up a processing station with 3 trays: red tray, needs action, bills, forms; blue tray, for later reading, magazines, catalogs; green tray, for filing, important documents. Next to the station, a paper shredder, a calendar, and a recycling bin. The rule: every piece of mail must be handled only once and immediately directed to its proper place. The result? No more overdue bill payments, saving us fees, no lost important invitations, and a drastic reduction in paperwork. The kitchen counter now follows a similar system for food packaging, containers, and products. My daughter, initially skeptical, implemented the system in her small apartment and called me, astonished, "Mom, I haven't seen my table's surface in 2 years. Now it's clear every evening." Step 5. Harmony and balance. Sustainable maintenance. The final step isn't about techniques, but psychological sustainability. Yokoi acknowledges that perfect systems eventually fail if they don't consider the human factor. Instead of keeping everything organized all the time, impossible with real lives, he encourages periods of controlled disorganization, followed by restoration rituals. Real-life application. We implemented 2 practices that sound contradictory but work perfectly together: allowed chaos zones. Each family member has a personal chaos box where they can temporarily store items without categorizing them. Mine is in the laundry room, my husband's in the garage. The only rule: when the box is full, it's time to process. Weekly restoration ritual. Every Sunday night, 20 minutes before our favorite show, we do what we call the 20-minute restore. Each person has a rotating role: cleaning surfaces, sorting paperwork, returning misplaced items, organizing the refrigerator, etc. We play upbeat music, and when it's over, we reward ourselves with our show and a special dessert. The result? The house never reaches extreme levels of clutter, yet we aren't obsessively striving for perfection. The benefits of implementing the Yokoi Kenji method extended far beyond a tidier home. Financially, we saved approximately 15% on our monthly budget. I stopped buying duplicates of items I couldn't find. I discovered 7 scissors scattered around the house during the reorganization. Our electricity bill decreased, as fewer items meant less maintenance and improved energy efficiency. Emotionally, my chronic anxiety significantly reduced. My doctor noted an improvement in my blood pressure. A study cited by Yokoi shows that visually chaotic environments can increase cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 30%. Relationally, the most surprising aspect was how much our marriage improved. Without arguments over why you never put things away or where is that, we found more time for meaningful conversations. Martin recently commented, "It's like we finally have the mental space to see each other again." Professionally, the organization of my home spilled over into my small consulting business. I applied the Yokoi principles to my home office and increased my productivity by almost 40%. Recently, I landed my biggest client yet, partly because I never missed deadlines or important information again. It would be dishonest to say that the transformation was easy. I faced 3 major challenges. 1. Family resistance. Initially, my husband and my youngest son strongly resisted. The solution? I started only with my personal spaces, my closet, my desk, my craft area. The results were so evident that they asked for help with their spaces. A tip: never reorganize someone else's belongings without permission. 2. Relapses. 3 months after the initial implementation, we slipped back into old habits during a particularly stressful week. Instead of giving up, we implemented what Yokoi calls a quarterly review, a check on how our systems were working and which needed adjustments. We discovered that our laundry system was too complicated and simplified it. 3. Nostalgia for the mess. This may sound strange, but sometimes I missed the cozy clutter, that feeling of being surrounded by memories and projects. The solution was to create an organized creativity space in the corner of the living room, where I can keep ongoing projects visible yet contained. Some seemingly insignificant changes had disproportionate impacts. The 60-second rule. If something takes less than a minute to do, putting away a cup, filing a document, hanging a coat, do it immediately. Unified hangers. We replaced our varied hangers with one single model in each closet. The space savings was 30%, and the visual impact created a sense of calm that encourages us to maintain organization. Strategic baskets. We placed small decorative baskets in every room. They are clutter interceptors, temporary spots for misplaced items until they can be returned to their proper places. The rule: when the basket is full, it's time to redistribute the items. The concept of ins and outs. For every new item that enters our home, something of similar value must leave. This drastically curbed impulse purchases and created a healthy flow of items. After trying countless organization systems over the years, I realized that the Yokoi Kenji method works for several distinct reasons. It is adaptive, not prescriptive. It doesn't dictate rigid rules but offers adaptable principles for different personalities and lifestyles. It recognizes human nature. It anticipates failures and creates resilient systems that can be easily resumed. It addresses the psychology behind clutter. It doesn't just treat the symptoms, mess, but the underlying causes, habits, thought patterns, family dynamics. It values functionality over appearance. It doesn't aim for magazine-worthy homes, but for spaces that work better for their inhabitants. It evolves with you. The systems grow and change as your life needs change. Start your own transformation today. If you, like me, feel overwhelmed by the constant battle against disorganization, start small. Select a single pain point, that area that bothers you the most every day. Apply only the first step: conscious evaluation. Observe for 3 days how you interact with that space without trying to fix it. Gather your family for an honest conversation about how the current space is affecting you emotionally, financially, and relationally. Begin with a 2-week organization experiment. Long enough to see results, short enough so it doesn't feel like a perpetual sentence. I remember sitting in my newly reorganized kitchen 6 months after beginning this journey, sipping coffee in silence as I watched the morning sun illuminate the clean surfaces. I realized I had found something I had been searching for throughout my adult life: peace in my own space. The true magic of the Yokoi Kenji method isn't in the organized closets or efficient systems. It's in the mental and emotional space it creates. Space to breathe, think clearly, connect with the people we love, and finally live intentionally instead of just reacting to chaos. At 52, I finally understood that organization isn't about perfection, it's about possibility. Every organized drawer, every clean surface, every functional system represents not just physical order, but potential for a more mindful and meaningful life. As Yokoi himself says, we don't organize things. We organize our capacity to live fully. Your home is the stage where your life unfolds. It's time to make it a setting that supports your dreams instead of draining your energy. Transformation begins today, with a single drawer, one shelf, one corner at a time. And I promise, as someone who has experienced both extremes, the effort is infinitely worthwhile.